In this episode, I'm showing you how I network on LinkedIn every day. I'm Greg. I'm the introverted networker, and I'm going to show you what I do each day on LinkedIn to grow my network. These are going to be strategies, tactics, tips to help you find new people to connect with them, to grow your network. Some of these may work for you. Some of them may not. But I'm just going to show you what I do, and hopefully that gives you some ideas. Looking at my LinkedIn, obviously, right here on my homepage, this is where I start every single day. So you can see, my profile up here. And then, of course, my feed is in the middle. So you would log in. And the first thing I usually do, the first thing I do on a day-to-day basis is I post. I post every day on LinkedIn or every weekday, but you don't have to post. That's not what you have to do to grow your network on LinkedIn. I would recommend, if you can get to that point, that you start posting. It will help you become more visible. You'll meet more people and connect, but it's certainly not a requirement. The first thing I tend to do when I log in is I go comment on other people's posts. OPP. I make sure that I look at the people who I normally follow, and a lot of times they're in my feed. I'll see what they've posted. I will go in and I'll leave a comment on their post. Commenting on posts, something I've talked about before, is a great way to get visible on LinkedIn. You don't even have to write your own post, but if you go to somebody else's post and you leave a great comment, they're going to see you. The person who wrote the post is going to see you, and then a lot of other people will see you. All the other people reading that post and looking at the comments are going to see you as well. So take that opportunity to recognize what the other person posted, say, how you feel about it. Generally, I would say, if you're going to post on something that you absolutely hate, I would just scroll past it and not do it. But for the most part, if it's something that you like what they posted, tell them you liked it. Go in and tell them what you liked about it. Tell them what you think about it. Tell them if you have something to add to it, meaning you're going to add to the conversation, or ask a question back to the original author. Again, you're trying to create a valuable addition to the conversation here. I would say if you don't have anything good to say, just move past it. You're not going to get anywhere, and you're not going to grow if you're going to sit there and bash on other people's posts. That doesn't mean you also have to write, "Oh, I agree 100% and you're so great." No, you can have a conversation, you can have a discussion, you can even have a civilized debate in the comments about what you think of the post. But the point is, make it valuable, because that's going to attract other people to look at your profile. They may like your post, which is important. I'll talk about that in a minute. And they may reach out to you. They may comment on your comment on your comment. If they comment on your comment, that's a great person to follow, possibly connect with, start a conversation with. You have something in common with. So that's a good way to add a connection or somebody to your network. Back to what I was saying about likes. If somebody likes your comment, you should definitely see who that person is and see if that's somebody you want to follow. Again, remember, you don't have to connect with everybody on LinkedIn. You can follow them, and then you'll start to see what they're posting, and you can continue to comment on what they post. Again, great way to start a conversation, great way to start to grow your network, great way to see people you have something in common with. That's the first thing I do. So who do I comment on? Like I said, they're usually in my feed because I've been following them for a while. But if you want to search for people in your industry, people at the companies you're interested in, you can do that and then go and look at their activity. So if I were to go to my own profile here and click on this, here's what mine looks like. If I scroll down, you can see my activity, and this is on anybody's profile. You want to go down to their activity. You can go to all posts and click show all posts. You can just scroll through somebody's posts and read all of them, and then when you find one that you like, you can leave a comment on that. That's how you can go to a new person that you might not have been following and see what their posts are, and if you comment on that, the algorithm's going to show you that person's posts in the future. Also, you can follow them, but this is something I do to start to find new people to connect with and follow on LinkedIn. Back to one thing I said about commenting. If you leave a comment and somebody else likes it, you can see who those people are. So I'm going to go into one of my posts right here. I'm in one of my posts and I scroll down to the comments, and you can see that in this situation, somebody left a comment here and then somebody else liked it right here. So if I click on this right here, I can see who these people are. And when this box pops up and I see who these people are, these are people that liked the comment. So if I left the comment and these people liked it, these are people who I could also potentially start to follow and connect with. So little things to find people who you have something in common with. These are ideas so that you can figure out who should I possibly connect with or follow on LinkedIn. So again, going back, you can comment on other people's comments. People can like your comments. Those people who you're commenting with can be people you connect with. Those people who liked your comments can be people that you connect with. There's plenty of people to interact and engage with on LinkedIn. That's how I try to find new people and try to start, seeing who's interested in what I have to say. And, who knows? You never know who's going to be out there. But that's the sort of commenting and liking and way to find people that you might potentially connect with. That's what I do on a day-to-day basis. Now I'm going to move on to something else, which is to use your first-person connections as people to connect with, reconnect with, and find new people to connect with. So you're going to have to go and look at your first-person connections. So I'm going to get out of this, and I'm going to go back to my homepage here. I'm back on my homepage. I'm going to go look at my network connections. So I'm going to click on my network and then click on connections. Mine are blurred out here, but you would have a list of your connections. I like to actually go search with filters. When I get to my page to search with filters, I've got my first degree connections. I can narrow down the locations by where I work or current company, or come to all filters, which is actually what I like to do, and scroll down here and then go to past companies. So I will often search for companies I worked with in the past, first degree connections, and that will bring up a list of people that I'm already connected to. Now, you're thinking to yourself, why are you reaching out to people that you're already connected to? Why would you do that? That doesn't seem like networking. But the point of this is, when I find people who are my first degree connections, there's a lot of times I haven't talked to them in a long time. So going back to my first step, whenever I tell people to start networking, which is start with who you already know. You have a lot of people you're already connected with, especially on LinkedIn. So again, we're using LinkedIn here to think of all the people, or remind ourselves of all the people we know. So you're going to go back through your first degree connections, and you're going to find somebody you haven't talked to in a while that you'd love to reach out to. And so search for your first degree connections, search for a company just to kind of narrow it down. Maybe you do it by your location, and then you're going to hit show results. As I look at my results, there's people on here who I know that I should probably reach out to. I haven't talked to them in a while, and I want to know more about what's going on with them. So I'll click the message button, which is this button right next to it. It's kind of blurred out because I'm trying to blur out my connections here, but it gives you the option to message them because you're first degree connections. So this is where I will go back to somebody who I've worked with in the past, who knows me, who's going to know my name, and I click on this and I send them a message, and I just say, hey, it's been a while since we talked, wondering how you're doing, let me know what's going on. Now, I do a couple of these each day. I might do one, maybe I'll do two. It depends on if I get going, but I really do this, and it does work. People will get back to you. Now, not everybody, and they won't do it right away, but a lot of people will be like, hey, good to hear from you. What's going on? And then you start a conversation. Again, you already know these people, but you're kind of warming up the network here and seeing where the conversation goes. And LinkedIn is a good first way to do that because you're already connected to them. That's something I do, which again leads to conversations about what they're working on, what I'm working on. Sometimes people will say, I was just thinking of you, but it all starts on LinkedIn. It all starts by showing up each day and going back to your first degree connections and trying to reconnect with them. Now, another thing I like to do is I get to this profile, and then what I like to do is come to what's underneath the headline and everything. This blurred out text here says that me and this person have a certain number of connections in common. So anytime you have a first degree connection, LinkedIn will show you on their profile who are your common first degree connections or connections in common. This is another good thing I do on a day-to-day basis, because what this does is it narrows down the first degree connections to look through even more. I click on that link. It takes me to a list of our first degree connections that I have in common with this person. And what this does is it reminds me of a lot of other first degree connections. Now, could I sort through mine and find these people? Probably. But by clicking on this one person, it then shows me a smaller list. So this is something I like to do. It's just a trick. It's just something that helps me remember people that I need to reach out and message. So that's another tip, another thing I do. I always go to my first degree connections. I find people I haven't talked to. I send them a message. Then I see the people I know in common with that person. I find somebody else. I send them a message. I do these little things every single day because that helps me keep in touch with my network. Then what I do is over time, when you start doing that, people respond back. So you go to your messaging up here and you have a list full of messages where people have responded and said, hey, great to hear from you. How are you doing? And then you start to have a bit of an online conversation. In a lot of cases, I try to say, hey, would love to catch up. Do you have 15 minutes? We could jump on a call. You don't have to go to coffee all the time. You don't have to go to lunch. You don't have to meet in person. A 15-minute call is a great way to touch base, to hear their voice, to really hear what's going on. And you never know what could come out of it. It's just keeping your conversation going, staying top of mind. So to sum this up, to talk about some of the things that I shared with you, or to summarize some of the things I shared with you, get on LinkedIn every day. Find people to follow and comment on their posts. If you've commented on their posts, see who maybe commented on your comment or who liked your comment, and then look for those people as people you might want to follow, or people you want to connect with, or people you want to have a conversation with. That's the first part of this. The second part of this is go back to your first degree connections on LinkedIn, find out who you're already connected to and you haven't talked to in a while, send them a message, send them a note. LinkedIn is great for that. Just start the conversation, and when they respond in your messages, go back and continue to have the conversation, and then move it on to an in-person conversation. But when you're getting started, you're thinking, how am I going to get in touch with people? How am I going to find them? LinkedIn is a great place to do it. LinkedIn is a great place to organize your contacts, to keep up with your contacts, to stay in touch. Of course, you want to move to conversations where you're talking to people in person and you're helping each other out, and then, opportunities start showing up. But this is a good first step. It's what I do every day, helps me keep my networking going, and it eventually leads to a lot of opportunities. So I hope something in there helped you, that you're willing to get on LinkedIn, try it a little more, grow your network there. Let me know if you have questions or if you're struggling with anything. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you out. Subscribe to this video, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the newsletter, send me an email, follow me on LinkedIn, leave me a comment on one of my posts. All these things are great ways to connect with me. So I hope that helps. Give it a shot this week. Let me know how it goes. And as always, everything I say every single week, make sure you're out there and always be connecting.